Hi, this lesson is all about anastrophe or inversion. So the focus is on this literary device, particularly when we see it used in Shakespeare and specifically in Macbeth. However, if you are not a GCSE student studying Macbeth, it still applies to any GCSE text. It's just the examples I'll be using will be from Macbeth. Anastrophe or inversion is partly the reason why Shakespeare is so difficult to understand as a student who is not at degree level. So this is a very useful technique to know about, because if you learn about it, it will help you to be able to decode an extract that you get in an exam much quicker. So let's define this. Anastrophe or inversion is a form of literary device wherein the usual order of the sentence is changed. This reversed order creates a dramatic impact and lends weight to the description. So here is a modern example, which I just took off a website that I trust. He spoke of times past and future and dreamt of things to be. So times past there is inverted. So the noun times is before the adjective past, which is unusual. Okay. Usually, if we were going to say this in spoken vernacular, so in a conversation, in a casual conversation or informal, we'd say past times, not times past. The inversion, or the use of anastrophe, makes the rhythm slightly different to an informal conversation. It makes it sound a bit more special, a bit more dramatic. So we could go into that further. We could link it to the language, but we're going to save that for when we're looking at quotations from Macbeth. Now, these quotations are worth writing down as well. I have chosen them, or worth revising for your exam. I have chosen them with a mind to helping you choose some relevant quotations that you could be revising. So my example from Macbeth that I'm going to talk about now and then come back to later is from Act 3, Scene 1. It is Macbeth when he is becoming paranoid about Banquo. He's about to attend the banquet that celebrates his coronation. He's got everything he wanted, apparently, him and Lady Macbeth wanted, and yet he has decided in this soliloquy that he's not happy, and he decides that Banquo and his son have to be assassinated because of the witch's prophecy at the beginning, which stated, or they said to Banquo that his sons would be king. And at this point in the play, Macbeth remembers this. So why is this inversion? Well, the clauses of the sentence are inverted, plus the order of I have is inverted. So what I mean by that is, if it was phrased more naturally, it would say, I have filed my mind for Banquo's issue. So issue means children. Filed my mind is actually quite a graphic image, links nicely to the violence of the play. A file is something you use on your nails, but it's also something you use in woodwork or metalwork, and you shave, it's when you shave an object down. So the idea that you're filing your mind is linked to that, and it's also short for the word defiled. So defiled means you've kind of sullied or stained your mind. So we've got a couple of things going on there, but we aren't actually going to focus on the imagery there today, because we need to focus on inversion. So we'll come back to that other quotation. First, we're going to think about the lovely Lady Macbeth, who, actually, I hope you sense my irony, my use of irony there. She's not lovely. She, at the start of the play, calls on mortal spirits to unsex her here. She actually says unsex me here, but I'm paraphrasing. And she asks them to make thick her blood. So, what is the effect of this? Now, when she says make thick my blood, she's asking for her blood to clot up in her veins. And she goes on to say she wants to stop up the access and passages to remorse. She wants to not feel guilty, and she's kind of saying by thickening her blood, this will stop her feeling remorseful. The remorseful feelings won't be able to go around her body. So, when we're analysing a literary device, especially one to do with a structural element, we need to think about the general effect. So if I was going to write an analysis of this in an essay, I might talk about the fact that the inversion has changed the rhythm. She doesn't say make my blood thick, she says make thick my blood. It's much stronger. It's much less natural as well. It's like she's making a speech, which, I mean, I guess the actress is. And then when we're analysing, we don't just leave it at that. We don't say what the general effect is. We also have to be specific to what's going on in the quotation. So here, the unnatural rhythm is reflecting the meaning, the theme of the sentence as well. So she's commanding demons to make her blood thicker, so that it will stop her feeling remorse. And that is an unnatural act, right? So that use of structure is quite unnatural. It links nicely to the fact she's asking for something quite unnatural. There I've put a note, a contextual reference to the ideas in that, the idea that you can stop your blood going around your body, and that will stop you feeling remorseful, which might have been something they actually thought back in the 17th century, or at least it was accepted maybe in popular imagination, like the idea of dying of a broken heart, which we know you can't nowadays. So another effect we could talk about is that the inversion creates emphasis. And how does that link to this quotation? Well, the rhythm actually leads the actor to deliver this with stress or emphasis on thick and blood. I don't know if you noticed, but the rhythm is quite similar to that of a spell or curse. If you read the rest of it, the rest of the soliloquy, you can see that with the rest of it, because Shakespeare tries to make her sound a bit witch-like without actually naming her as a witch or anything like that. So make thick my blood, make thick my blood. That's got a nice simplistic rhythm to it. Okay, so back to our quotation from the beginning. We're going to do the same. So we're going to imagine we're analysing this in an essay. What are we going to say about it? Well, we're going to talk about the rhythm and how it's unnatural. And then we're going to link it to the quotation. So here it reflects the meaning. Again, he's talking about something unnatural that he sees committing murder. So his friend's sons can be kings, and not himself. He sees that as unnatural. So he's outraged about that. Like, how ridiculous. Why would I go and kill anyone for someone else? What if I can't get the benefits of it myself? And we could talk about our other effect again, which is that it creates emphasis, this inversion or anastrophe. And we can see that, or you can see that I've written that this emphasis is placed on who he's directing his anger at, which is Banquo and his children, so his issue. And also later in the line, I is emphasised, so it kind of contrasts quite nicely with the word, the name Banquo, and you can then deliver it with more incredulity than perhaps if it was phrased a different way. So incredulity means you can't quite believe something's happening. For Banquo's issue, have I filed my mind? perhaps how it might be delivered. Okay, we've got one more quotation to look at, and I'm going to ask you to make sure you do this analysis. So I'm going to hand it over to you now. So I'm going to show you a quotation, and then I'm going to tell you how you will analyse it. So this is a speech from Lady Macbeth, another part of a soliloquy from Lady Macbeth in Act 1, a different one to the last one, but another great one. She's in a celebratory mood in this speech. She's just read out a letter to the audience from Macbeth, where he's informed her of the witch's prophecies, or prophecy, particularly to him. And then she reads this letter, she stops, and then she starts this soliloquy. She goes straight into the soliloquy, actually, kind of with excitement, by saying that he has two titles, Glamis and Cawdor, now. So he was Glamis before, he's just been made Thane of Cawdor, if you remember from the start. She then explains here that she thinks he doesn't have the courage or ambition, to make the next stage happen. So he's too full of the milk of human kindness. And what she thinks is the thing that should happen next is that he should kill the king. So in order to speed up his ascent up the career ladder, she's not prepared to wait. She is too ambitious. She wants him to get there quickly. And she thinks the only way he can do that is by murdering the king. But she thinks he's going to need her help to convince him to do it. So let's think about, in particular, about the inversion or anastrophe used. So we're going to focus on just that little bit at the start, those three words, glams thou art, or glams thou art. So when you're analysing, when you're writing analysis of this, first of all, identify the device that you're talking about. So you might, after you've written your quotation, so what I suggest you do in order to practice this is write the quotation and then write this use of inversion, suggests. Now, it's inversion because instead of saying you are Glamis, she said Glamis you are. So thou is you, art is are. After you've identified the device, so the inversion or anastrophe, you can call it either one, explain the general effect. So the ones I've talked about here are, or earlier, are both a change in rhythm and how it changes the emphasis. So you could talk about either of those things. Now, if you notice, the changing of the order of the words, the inverting of the words, allows the actor to place emphasis, or forces the actor to place emphasis on his title, Glamis. Glamis thou art. Okay? It not only changes the rhythm so it sounds different, it sounds more special than an everyday conversation. It kind of emphasises the fact that she's kind of obsessed by titles, by moving up this this ladder to being king. So it kind of reflects her personality quite nicely, and really kind of connotes to us that she really cares about the titles, the lordships, the thaneships he's got. Then what you do is you link this inversion to what's happening in the quotation, okay, which I've just done. If you want to go one better, if you want to upgrade or up-level your analytical response, you can try and link your quotation to a theme. This is general advice now. I've moved into general advice for explaining or analysing a quotation. So always try and link what you're talking about in the quotation, bring it back out again to a theme. So here you could link it to the fact that inversion is used, to the fact that she's trying to change the order of events. She's trying to do something unnatural here in this speech, where she's suggesting, or she's telling us that she thinks her husband is too weak to murder the king, and she wants to help him to encourage him to do that. You could link it really easily to ambition, Glamis thou art, because she's really emphasising the word Glamis, the title. And then, if you can, try and then in your analysis, link it to another quotation if you can do that. So if the quotation you're analysing for any literary device reminds you of another quotation in the play, another similar device, or not necessarily a device, but a quotation on the same theme or using similar words, mention that, okay, because that will get you those higher levels, those higher grades. And that brings us nicely to the end of this lesson. Thank you for your time. Thank you